Okay, so we are Better for All, and as I mentioned, we make home compostable and commercially compostable PHA cups. To date, we've been working with a material called PHBH made by Konica Biopolymers. They're headquartered in Houston. We manufacture in Louisville, Kentucky, and we distribute primarily at the moment from Dallas, Texas, our printer, and self-distribute from our own storage facility. This last year in 2024, our sort of breakout moment was we were the official cup of Tortuga Music Festival in Fort Lauderdale in April. We started with the composter of record, working with them to make sure that they approved of the cup, were interested in the material, and thought that it would work well with their current system, which is sort of community composting level. They take the serveware and food waste from a number of Fort Lauderdale and Eastern Coast Florida events. So they were really psyched. In part, they were psyched as you saw the cups earlier. How do I move the? Oh, sorry, just trying to switch page. There we go. So you can see that the cups have a slightly different look than you would expect from, say, a PLA cup or a PET cup. They're semi-translucent. We left them their natural color so that they would be distinctive. In all candor, we use the red Solo Cup success as sort of a cultural icon, as a little creative direction for ourselves. Like, okay, we need something that's really looks different than petroleum plastic products that are already out there. So hence we have a slightly different form factor. You can see this is a 7-9 ounce in the wedding photograph. It has a slight curve to it. The USC, we've been the collegiate athletic sponsor for the last 2 years for football and basketball. So these are the 16-ounce cups that you can see digitally printed. And then I don't think I see any 2022 ounce here, but anyway, so what else? Am I moving too fast?
No.
Okay. So so anyway, Tortuga, I'm going to move forward one and then go back to this. So Tortuga, we submitted our cups to be processed ahead of time by the community composter Renewable. They were really psyched by the results and said, please take the cup. So Tortuga onboarded us as the official cup, and because they've been working in the sustainability space for so long, they even go into the hotels that offer, say, packages to the people going to the 3-day event and have them remove all the single-use shampoo bottles. So they're pretty like thorough in terms of the way they manage the sustainability of the event. And so they told the concessionaires what cups they were going to use. So we provided 170,000 cups. I think closer to 140 or 50 were actually used at the event. And then here you see the processing happening. In 10 weeks, they had completely biodegraded. And then in 12 weeks, they were finished maturing. And recently they did a sort of community compost donation at 3 different locations in Florida, including Rock the Ocean is the promoter of the Tortuga Music Festival, and they provide funds to wildlife sanctuaries in the area. So this is why you see a little sea turtle here. So that was our kind of breakout event this year. And we're actually talking to Tortuga this afternoon about their order for 2025. So it was successful. They were thrilled. And they also were able to publish an 80% diversion rate, in part, they believe, because the cups were so easy to sort. So they didn't have the look-like plastic issue.
And I would add one more thing. They look at complete waste diversion. So they include, what people bring into the venue, whether it's what they've provided or not. And so they really are looking at a whole picture, which is great.
Yeah, and then the other thing I think that was really fun for people, that you could see in a lot of the documentation of the event, like people were really excited about the cup. So there was a feel-good component on the part of the fans that was a positive surprise. So to step back a little bit, we chose to work with PHA because for a number of reasons. One, when we first got into the space, we naturally moved towards PLA. And at the time we were looking at a much broader array of, we were like, let's just take on all single-use plastic waste, you know. And then we quickly got really, you know, schooled about sort of one, the just scale of the problem and just the sheer number of any one given thing consumed and thrown away in a year was like mind-boggling. So we decided to focus on a product that, one, hadn't really been solved for, and two, was like a product that was also a package. So it would get thrown away eventually, most likely, but also would be sort of seriously connected with in the process of being used. So the cup felt like a really nice solution for building a brand around a new material. So we chose PHA for this reason, and this is a really nice a chart that just was released in the EU by a whole number of the testing and vetting organizations in the EU, which you probably know is kind of light years ahead of the US in terms of like figuring out the space, moving towards sustainability. And you can see here that PHB, which, so our product is a PHBH. There's a whole family of materials that are made by fermentation by microbes, and they exist naturally in the world around us. They live in the soil. These microbes are just naturally occurring microbes, and they make PHAs as part of their metabolic process. The substance itself was discovered like more than 100 years ago in various locations around the world. And relatively quickly, they figured out they could do something like make a plastic-like product from it. But petroleum was on the upswing in a major way and kind of became the solution to all of these material issues. So PHA has been used for the last 30 years for things like water filters and medical sutures in the body as sort of bone components, et cetera, because it's so non-toxic and bioavailable. Blood cells can grow on it. So when I first read about this material, I was like, there's no way it's too good to be true. Like, this is amazing. And at the time when we first started looking, there weren't as many options for finding people innovating in the space than there are now. Now it's really growing rapidly. So I think there's maybe twice or three times the companies innovating in the PHA space than there were even 4 years ago. So this is good news. So anyway, so you can see here, this is the reason we really went for PHA is we were trying to solve for a number of problems in single-use plastic pollution, which is obviously climate. It needed to be bio-based. Also, it needed to biodegrade without leaving microplastics or toxins behind, and it needed to biodegrade in the widest array of environments possible, because to date, even we started 6 years ago, this has not changed. Recycling rates are still 5 to 9%, maybe 20% for single-use plastic bottles, but otherwise water bottles, but otherwise it's still 5 to 9%. And there's about a 20% loss worldwide of plastic into the environment. So we really felt strongly that we couldn't pick a material that could only be processed in a very specific setting for success, to declare success, right? So we were cautioned against doing it, but we went ahead and tried to make PHA cups. We've it's taken us 4 years, but now we are commercially viable with 3 sizes. We submitted our cups also to the Oceanic Global vetting process this summer. We know different companies use, I guess, third-party expertise to help them figure out the best products to use in their current systems. And Oceanic Global was recommended to us by, I think, the Reyes brothers, or right? Okay. So we submitted, and the thing I liked about their verification process is they look at everything. They look at the way you box, with the cases you use, the sleeves you use, everything. And so we had to submit all of our product certifications, material certifications, packaging certifications. And we were verified plastic-free this summer. So this is just a little more information about the 3 cup sizes. We do sell online our very small little Shopify shop. We do get orders. We got more orders in the summer. We can, of course, also provide wholesale shipping as small as the case. So that's our 7-9 ounce. This is our 16-ounce party cup. And then this is a newer shape that we introduced because we were requested to by some beer brands looking for a stadium, or what do you call it? What's the cup?
Oh, a souvenir cup.
Souvenir, thank you. Souvenir cup shape. So this is like a pretty substantial cup. And my sort of attempt to make it slightly unique looking is we have a messaging around the rim here: renewable, reusable, compostable. Another interesting thing about PHAs is they are much more high heat tolerant than PLAs. And so they can be dishwashed. We have had the cups sort of industrially washed by some of the reuse system brands out there. So they're not as, I would say, robust as the PP cups, like the 1 millimeter or 2 millimeter wall thick polypropylene cups that are being used. The reason we have a thin walled cup is so that it can be certified home compostable. So it's a balancing act, right? Also, I would say this material is expensive. So the more material we use in every cup, the more expensive the cup. So I am curious, if we ever do get picked up by a reusable company, we could, of course, use a slightly more substantial cup and see if we could get it home compostable certified. We are definitely thinner than we need to be for home compostable certification. This was really because I was hedging. It's expensive to certify and it takes a long time. This is the current, if you see the yellow, this is the current capacity that we have. And then sitting like in the wings, waiting for the right volume of orders, are a 10-12 ounce that fits the same standard lid as the 16-18 ounce and the 20-22 ounce. And then if a beer brand or a stadium wanted it, we could do a 16-18 ounce of the 20-22 ounce size. We can also quadruple our capacity in about a 4 to 6 month period of time. There's no limitation on the material capacity that we foresee hitting at any point. We now have 2 different material suppliers we're working with, plus there's some interesting innovations happening in the PHA space with different feedstocks and different methods for producing the material. So we can print, we can do silk screening with a water-based sort of a water-based compostable friendly ink. We also spent a lot of time developing methods for preparing the surface so that we didn't have to use a chemical pretreatment. So we use like an infrared or a plasma heating. It just slightly modifies the surface so that the ink can adhere. This is a digital print. Digital printing is fancy, but this is just to see if you really wanted to turn your cup into a billboard. We have been looking at getting sponsors to offset the price difference between, say, PLA and our cup. And so you could see that worked with SC. Coca-Cola is doing the basketball cups. They took on the sponsorship for the basketball cups. This is a brand ambassador we work with, Norteño band in San Antonio, Texas. Here's our current, we are talking to a number of distributors, but we currently direct ship. And either from Dallas, from Westfall Technic in Louisville, which is our manufacturer, or from ourselves in California. We do have 4 other FDA-approved factories inside of the Westfall network. So we can grow and sort of spread ourselves out as needed. And then this is just, these are our 2 websites. Better for All Shop is just a shopping site, and Better for All Co has a more substantial brand sort of information. And these are 2 pictures from Tortuga. So thank you.